Welcome to our webinar and happy pre-Thanksgiving. It is a short week for most of the people here at Sherpa. I'm actually Canadian, so I will be online for the rest of the week here, but most of the team will be offline on Thursday and Friday. But just in case you do need anything over the holiday, I will be online to help you guys out with whatever you need. You can always email us at support@leadsherpa.com, and that's where you'll reach us the fastest and get the fastest reply. On top of that, I will also mention, which I don't typically mention, that everybody should go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I believe it's just youtube.com/leadsherpa. And you should subscribe there because we have not only onboarding videos, we post our webinar recordings all there, and whenever there is a new feature that needs a little bit of how-to assistance along the way, we update you guys all there with new videos. So if there's ever anything new added to the system and you're subscribed, you should get some sort of notification to let you know that there's a new video for a new feature so that you can always stay up to date. Otherwise, we always do these bi-weekly webinars as well. And again, you can always reach us at support@leadsherpa.com. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. And also, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, you should join there as well. It's a great resource to not actually ask the support team questions, but to ask other users questions. We've had some users that are still online now since the beginning. They've been around, they've seen the original bare bones versions of Sherpa into what it is now. They are we have people on some advisory boards just to kind of help us out along the way. And so you can pick everybody's brain here in the Sherpa Facebook group. So if you haven't joined yet, please do. If you don't know exactly how to find it, it is just /groups/Sherpa after the facebook.com. But you can also come here to your support tab and just click Sherpa Facebook and it will take you right to the group. Anybody from your team as well can join. Anybody from your team can join these webinars. We want to make sure that whoever's using the system has all of the knowledge that they can have that's available to them. And so if you want your VAs or texters or lead managers, whatever, to join the webinars or to join the Facebook group, let them join away, no problem there. When they're joining the Facebook group, they do just have to answer some questions that lets us know what company they're from, as we do only let users into the Facebook group. So if we don't recognize their name, as long as we recognize the company name, then we'll know that they are welcome to join us there. All right, so it has been a couple minutes and I think we've had quite a few people trickle in along the way, which is great. If anybody has any questions off the get-go, excellent. I'll get to them in just a minute, but you can go ahead and already pop it in the chat. Any questions, all questions you have. The only ones that we do actually request to stay away from a little bit in the webinar is if there's something very specific to your account. If you're getting some sort of error, or something, that's definitely more of a support request. It's not something I'm going to resolve here on the webinar. So if you do have a support request, email support@leadsherpa.com. But any questions you guys have about best practices, about features, even if you want to request features, any of that, just pop it in the chat and we will address it here on the webinar. We've got some really big new things coming really soon. We've been working hard all year long on some things, and it's just going to come, things are just going to keep on popping up newly for you. So we're hoping to get you a really big, awesome Christmas present at the end of the year, as Jason also alluded to in the Facebook group. So again, if you're not part of the Facebook group, this is where you'll also hear some of these things. Jason says we have at least one present for everyone we're working hard to release before Christmas. And then after the new year, we're going to continue rolling out new features. So any pain points or features, even think outside of SMS, think bigger. Just what tools do you guys like to use in your real estate business that you would like to see from Sherpa? Let us know, because we are all ears and we want to make sure that we're developing the right features that you guys are going to use. So without further ado, I do have Amber online with me today. If you've joined webinars recently, you've heard from her and you've probably had emails from her as well. So we're going to kind of tag team this together, as sometimes whoever's hosting just ends up talking solo the whole time which it's a lot more fun to have somebody else on here with me. So I'm going to first just quickly cover some updates to the system, and then we're going to go ahead and get into those questions. So again, if you have some, just pop them in the chat. I do see one comment here, and so we'll address that in a second. But let's go ahead and look at what is new in the system. So since our last call, we've had just a couple of updates because again, we're really focusing on this big Christmas present we have for you guys. But in the meantime, we have released a few things anyway. One of them is the ability to reorder your lead stages. So everybody uses lead stages in different ways. There's some lead stages here that you probably use all of the time. There's some that are automatic, but then there's probably some that maybe you don't use as much. And so you can reorder your lead stages in the way that they're presented on your prospect page. So the way to do that is you just come here to your account settings, click on lead stages, and you just literally drag and drop it into the order that you want, the order that makes sense for you. And when you come over to the prospect page, it will then be in that new order that you have drag and dropped things into. So that is an update. We do also have something else coming in the next week or so, I want to say. It is being developed right now, where there are some of these that are required because they're default. But there are a few here that we will allow you to actually deactivate if you would like. And so that will come soon. However, right now you cannot deactivate the default lead stages. You can deactivate your custom ones. So active to inactive if you don't want to use it anymore, so you can clean things up and make sure everything is nice and tidy for you and makes sense for the way that you use the system. The other thing here, templates. So we truly have not been using Sherpa ourselves too much other than testing and listening to you guys, but Jason is a real estate investor and actually built this for himself. And so you'll see some of these stats a little bit outdated here, but I'll actually also go over to our demo account just so you guys can see some more accurate data. It's not here either. Bad example. But you should all have some response rates now. So everybody's had delivery rates this whole time, and you should also now have response rates. Ours are empty, again, because we haven't been using the system too much lately in way of real estate investing, but you should all have delivery rates and response rates on your templates. And so, of course, that's just a nice stat to have, but think about how you can use it to your advantage. Does your template have a high response rate and other ones have low response rates? You're doing something well in the ones that have high response rates. But of course, delivery rate is important as well. It's important to at least get that message through to the prospect first in order for them to reply. So take these rates that you will have in your account and use it to your advantage to see which templates are working, which ones aren't. While I'm on the topic, of course, we should always edit templates and keep them fresh, because even if something gets a great delivery rate now and response rate now, eventually it may end up getting flagged for whatever reason, and so the delivery rate may drop. And so just always keep an eye here on these stats. The other thing that is newer, actually it's an update. So we used to be able to always upload prospects without a property address. And so people do this with buyers campaigns. Really, we shouldn't be texting buyers with properties that we have, but we can text buyers to introduce ourselves because it's not any sort of marketing or anything like that. It's just introducing yourselves and saying, can I add you to my buyers list? Then you should be sending the properties via email or some other way. But you can now, again, upload a name and a number without a property address. For a while there, it wasn't allowing it, but it does allow it again. So those are all the updates since our last call. Some things on the agenda to be released in the next week or so. You should be able to create custom categories. So in your templates here, right now we just have initial and follow-up. You will be able to create your own custom category. And then that will also be in the same release as the ability to rotate through categories, so that when we are on the send page, instead of manually selecting a new template to use to send. We just select the category and it will go through each template and rotate for you, which will help everybody with their delivery rates and spam rates as well. Another thing that is coming up soon in the next week or so is that you will be able to use more than one company name in your templates. So right now, if you have two company name here in your template settings, it doesn't allow you to select which one you want to use in which template. It just rotates through them. But we are allowing you to select exactly which company name in the template creation you want to use. So this one I can select company name A, and another template I can select company name B, so I know which company name I'm using when. This is something that not everybody will use. Lots of people will just use their one company name and that's fine, but we do have some users in more than one market that like to use separate company names. All right, now the last thing, actually, piece of housekeeping that I want to address before getting into questions that you guys have is that, yes, the holiday is coming up, and I like to kind of air some caution around sending texts on holidays. We don't absolutely restrict it from going out in the system, but just be mindful of people spending time with their families on Thanksgiving. Even though this year, you know, is a weird year for everybody, we just don't, when Jason is sending texts in his business, we prefer not to send text messages on actual holidays. Black Friday, a little bit different, but Thanksgiving Day, we like to stay away from that. It might annoy some people and then ends up with them reporting numbers and putting up a fuss. Even though we're TCPA compliant, they still can complain about receiving a text to their carrier. And so I would say stay away from texting on holidays. But that also brings up another point for me, which is that, yes, the holidays in general are coming up, but that doesn't mean, you know, stand down from Thanksgiving until the new year, because lots of people do that. There are people who put their account on pause, or they just don't send so many texts, but that's what lots of people are doing. And so it's actually an opportunity for people who want to start the new year strong. Take that advantage. Other people aren't texting as much, so just keep on texting through the holidays, besides on actual Christmas Day, on Thanksgiving Day, etc. We don't want to bug people too much on those days. But for the rest of the month of December, keep on sending those texts out. Start the year strong. Keep your pipeline full so that you can start 2021 really strong instead of making up for any time lost. All right, now let's get into these questions. If you have any, just do pop them in the chat. If you guys don't really have any, I do always have some backup questions here that I will ask Amber and quiz her on. And we will, of course, post this recording to the YouTube channel. But if anybody does have any questions now or along the way, just pop them in the chat here. So Sasha says, Lead Sherpa works very well in the last couple of weeks. Never better, I would say. Just continue that way. Congrats. Great. I'm glad to hear it. We do have some people that, because since we added the opt-out language, which is required by the carriers, they are backing down a bit. And it just, again, it brings opportunity for you. So people are still generating leads. Yes, maybe we see stop on the screen a little bit more because they have that opt-out, but those were your tire kickers anyway, and you get to those leads even faster. So thank you, Sasha, for that positive comment. I love to hear that it's working well for you in the last couple of weeks. Never better. That's awesome. All right, so no other questions in the chat, and that wasn't so much a question but a comment, which we appreciate anyway. And so Amber, I'm gonna go ahead and start drilling you with some questions.
We have one more.
Okay, yeah.
Just popped in.
Can we reorder templates too? I had problems with this feature lately. We, for some time, did have the feature to reorder templates, but we did remove it ever since adding the filters at the top on the categories of the table. And so because this is a feature, it doesn't allow the reordering of templates, but there will be a mid solution once we have those custom categories, because you'll be able to just put things into the category that you want to use, and it will rotate through for you. So you don't really have to think about using specific ones more than other times. And if you just don't want to use specific ones in specific campaigns, you have them in separate categories. So that should solve your pain point there, Sasha. All right, so what else? All right, nothing in the chat so far. So Amber, let's talk a little bit about skip trace. And actually, Amber, do you want to share your screen so that when you are explaining,
Sure.
pull it up? Sorry if I caught you off guard on that.
No, that's okay. I think, oh, just kidding. I can do it. All right, there we go.
Cool. Awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about skip trace. For those of you who don't use skip trace, you should. Our skip trace. But there are a lot of benefits if you are using our SMS to using our skip trace in conjunction with it as well. And so there's no commitment to it at all. You just pay for it as you use it. So if you're not using it, test it out, see if you like it, because there's a lot of great benefits to using it. So one of those I'm going to ask you about, Amber. What are skip trace matches?
So the matches are going to be anything that have already come through on the skip trace. So if there's information, so for example, on these 26 rows, 13 matches means that there's the same information on these 26 rows, right? So that's a really small file. So basically there's not that much data here. However, the 25 hits is showing that's new data, right? So that's a little bit confusing. Is this real?
I can explain it. So the matches are duplicates. It can be from within the same file, as you're saying. It can also be from past skip traces. And it can also be if you didn't skip trace that data with Sherpa. So this, again, is that benefit of you guys who aren't using skip trace, our skip trace, and you're thinking, oh, well, now I just have all my data elsewhere and I don't want to reskip the same data. We will recognize the properties that have data appended to it already within your texting campaign. So even if you didn't skip trace with Sherpa, we still check your entire database from your campaigns and look and see, okay, this address already has phone numbers. We'll recognize it as a match and we're not going to reskip it. And so that comes over to the savings column now. And so all of those duplicates that happened in that file, you end up saving money. And as you can see in the top right corner, in our own account, we have $34,000 worth of savings. We have seen people with savings in the hundreds of thousands of dollars just in their account because they use Sherpa all the time. But even, again, if you didn't skip trace with Sherpa, but that data is in a campaign, we'll recognize it and we save that money for you. So huge benefit there based off of the matches, which is just another way of saying duplicates. And Amber, do you know what we recognize matches from?
It's pretty much phone number and name, right?
It's actually mailing address.
Oh, mailing. Well, I am 0 for 2.
We learn something new every day. So
yep, I do. I learn more than one thing new every day.
It's based off of the mailing address. And the reason we do that is because if my husband and I live at the same address and you're skip tracing us and we're providing you 3 phone numbers and also 3 phone numbers for 2 relatives each, both of our numbers are probably going to be returned in there. There's no need to skip trace both of us. And so if we have the same mailing address, then one of us is going to be recognized as a duplicate and the other one will be skip traced. So it's based off a mailing address for that reason, but it's also based off of that because one owner himself,
multiple numbers.
Well, they can have, multiple properties. So they live at the mailing address, but they own numerous properties, but you're trying to contact the owner anyway. So again, there's no reason to skip trace each at that owner at each of the property addresses, but instead we just recognize, okay, it's the same mailing address for all of these different property addresses. It's going to be the same contact information that gets returned for the owner. So
Gotcha.
that's how that works. Also on the same key, I guess, with skip trace, we do require first and last name are in different columns. And so Amber, do you know what they can do if their first and last name are in the same column of their property data?
Yeah, so you can actually break that up in Excel. There's a formatting. We actually have a video of it as well. And if you don't know how to do it, you can send the file to me or our support team, and we're happy to do it for you. You know, if you're playing around with it, or look at our article and can't get it figured out, we're happy to do it. But we do have an article that kind of walks you through. It's actually a video, I think.
Yeah. I think it's text
that shows you exactly. Yeah. Right here. So you can split the text of the columns. It's not too complicated. I think if you watch the video, you can probably figure it out. But like I said, if you do have problems, we're happy to do it for you on our end as well.
Yeah. And so when we do things for you, again, you can send it over. We can do it for you to kind of get you up and running. But we do also like to send a screen recording to you of how we've done it so that you can take that knowledge then and move forward and do it yourself again in the future. Because we can't be doing it for people all the time, but we are very happy to help you figure out how to do it. And so yes, it's called text to columns in Excel. It's just like a click of a button basically in Excel. You highlight the columns, you tell it to separate it by ampersands or spaces or commas, whatever the format of your file is using, and you can choose multiples of those in case there's a bunch of different types, and it will put the first name and the last name in separate columns for you. Cool. I'm going to stay on this skip trace tone for a little bit, just for this next question anyway. And so can our users skip trace LLCs?
Yes. So LLCs can be skip traced pretty much the exact same way personal entities can. You just put the business name in the first name column, and then, you know, all the same information is going to apply.
Yeah. Exactly. And the best way to get LLC owner data back or accurate phone numbers is to have an accurate mailing address. So if you don't have an accurate mailing address, it can be worth it definitely to pay a VA or somebody to source that information for you, because really accurate information will come back from the mailing address. And so also when we do skip trace LLCs, there is a column in our skip trace data file called the alternate name. And so if there is a like a personal representative of the LLC or somebody, we will return that name. And so that name, instead of the LLC name, if you're pushing it then over to a texting campaign, will get used in your templates versus saying, hi, LLC. It'll say, hi, Amber, because it will use that alternate name. I think we have something in the chat here. Any news regarding having available recording of click-to-call outbound calls? I'll answer that one. So no, it's the type of connection that it uses. We can't have it recorded. If you want to record outbound calls, you can do so with Prospect Relay. So once we have call recording enabled in the account settings, any call forwarding and Prospect Relay calls will be recorded. Click-to-call calls will not. But Sasha, if you do have an outbound call that you want to record, you can select SMS Relay, connect it to your phone, and call from your phone. And it will, one, mask your personal phone number with the Sherpa phone number. So to the prospect, they're just seeing the Sherpa number call them. But two, it will also record the call as well. All right, so let's get into some campaign questions. How can we export data from campaigns in, I guess, all the different ways? So let's walk them through the different ways to export data.
Yeah, so to export everything from the campaign on the campaign list page, you can just click the three little hamburger stacks icon here and choose export. One thing that I think people really are liking, especially with the Verizon issues going on right now, is in the metrics tab within a campaign. Over here on the right-hand side, you'll see the mobile import stats. You can actually export this list here using this little icon, and it'll give you all of the information for your prospects with their phone numbers. And if they were skipped, it'll give you that skip reason of whether it's the 5-day threshold or the carrier skip for Verizon. So this gives you a lot of good information if you want to cold call those Verizon numbers, or if there's another way that you want to reach out to them. This mobile export gives a lot of good information there as well.
Mhm. Awesome.
And obviously you can export all of the phone numbers in the campaign, landlines and stuff if you want to cold call those. But this mobile one is really important, especially with the skips that's happening right now.
And how about like high level campaign stats?
Yeah, I shouldn't have gone into this campaign. I was trying to get one that had actual information.
Oh yeah, that's a big one that always takes forever to load. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so what kind of high level stats?
So like if I want to see just the number of prospects in the campaign, so basically these stats, but in an export. Do you know where to get that?
Yes, I think so. Right here in campaign performance.
So
and then export.
Go back to the campaigns list.
Oh man.
And then there's this download button in the top right. No, the list. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that the one that I?
No, so just above.
All of them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you were talking campaign specific.
Yeah, well, it will export all of the campaigns, right? So
right.
Maybe gotcha. I word my question correctly, but this will download, and if you download it, Amber, it should only take a second to download, just to kind of show them what's in there. But it's really high level stats for all of your campaigns in your campaigns list.
Looks like it's generating here. Mine doesn't automatically open, so I'm gonna have to.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
That's okay. I don't have sheets on my computer or Excel, gotcha. So I have to do it the sneaky way.
So, but this will show you how many prospects are in the campaign, how many messages have been sent. Here we are. How many were skipped total in the campaign, but this is not date specific. So it's the campaign total high level stats. So if you want to see, okay, we did this campaign, I want to see all of the stats for it and compare it to my other campaigns, this is the export you can do that at. But there is also another option, and it does also break down the total mobile, landline, etc., auto dead, basically everything that you need is here. But Amber, if we go over back to Sherpa, there is, if we go to the dashboard tab now, in the top right corner, there's an export button here. And so with this, we can, the very top right, yeah.
Do we need to select a campaign? Nope, here we go.
And so here, it will also give us stats for any campaigns that meet the dates that we put in here. So truly in hours, because we're not texting too much. If you do this, it probably won't really bring anything up. But for you guys, it will, and we can at least see the headers that are in this, because again, we probably don't have any stats in it. But if you want to see, okay, last week, I want to see how many messages were skipped, or last week, I want to see how many messages were sent, how many leads were created. At that, using that date selector, you can do that with the campaigns, and you can also do it at the user level as well. So when Amber clicked that export, there's the option to look at campaigns, and then there's also the option to look at team stats as well. We might just not have anything in here.
Yeah. It says export is ready, but it didn't come.
But we just haven't been we haven't been active in the account.
Interesting. You think it'd give us the headers at least?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I didn't download anything.
We do have a message in the chat here. Do we have a way to check the delivery rate per campaign per day? So that will be available in that export that I was just showing you. So when you go to the dashboard, Amber, if you go to staging, it should bring up that.
Okay, give me a second here.
Yeah, or I can share my screen because I already have it open.
Sure.
Continue. All right. So I have it open here already. So if I want to look per, day, you can do it daily, you can do it weekly, you can do it monthly, but let's do this just so we can see what's in here. And again, that was under the campaigns selection. And there is also the user selection if you want to do that. But we don't have any in our staging account either. But it does give us the headers at least. You can see the campaign name. You can see how many were sent, how many were delivered, how many responses came in, how many new leads happened in that time, how many auto debt there were, how many skips, the delivery rate, which is what you're asking for. So you can put in the date specific that you're looking for, and it will show you the delivery rate. There is a response rate as well, performance rating, and then that is it. Performance rating, I think, is based off of the leads generated from messages sent. So that should give you this little export button. Again, it's on the dashboard tab. Click export. That will bring up that modal for you to select the dates that you want. And if you want it to be campaigns or team stats. Let's see what else. All right. No more.
I actually did not know that it gave that information. So
it does. Something else.
Another thing, add it to the list.
All right. See, Amber's been with us since the beginning of July, and there's just so many ins and outs to the system, and it's why we like doing these webinars, because there's lots of things that you guys might not even realize are there, but they are there. And we try to keep you as informed as possible. If you're ever looking for something in the system and you're like, oh, I just don't think they have it, feel free to reach out to us, because maybe it's just something that you're overlooking and can't find for whatever reason. And if you can't find it, also that can be something that we can improve. So if we know that users aren't able to find a specific thing, that's really good information for our UI designer to take back and put back into the system. What else do we have? All right, so I'll just continue sharing my screen, Amber, but I will click around with what you are explaining. So how can people bulk apply tags?
I wish I had my, okay, so if you go into the prospects search, nope, that's not right. Oh.
I'm quizzing you with some good ones today, right?
Yeah, you are. I haven't even covered anything. Yeah, so if you go into an existing campaign, you can select the tags you want to apply up there in the top. Yeah, that little icon. Choose the tags. Is it gonna bulk apply to every contact in the campaign?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So it says to add or remove tags for all prospects in this
Gotcha,
campaign.
gotcha.
And so that's because this setting up here is a campaign-wide setting. So when we click here, we're editing the campaign details. When we're here, we are going to bulk apply, or we can also bulk remove in case you've done it accidentally. Maybe you didn't know it was going to do it in bulk. You can come back and do that. But we can add or remove the tags to all of the prospects in this campaign. So that's one place we can do it. We can also do it actually while we're uploading a new campaign as well. So if I created a new campaign that's empty, I'm adding prospects, it will prompt me with the ability to add tags as well. So again, this was going to bulk apply all of the prospects with the tag that you have selected. So maybe you have a divorce list or an absentee list or a expired listing list, and you know all of the prospects in that list should get that tag. You can do that while you're uploading the file. And finally, also when we are pushing from skip trace to campaign, it gives us that same prompt as well. So again, we can apply the tag and they will auto tag to all of the prospects in there. One of the things actually that is also a big benefit in using our skip trace with SMS is that yes, we can do this, but our skip trace provides a ton of data back, all of these different data points. Sorry, let me export that. And so there's a vacancy flag, a bankruptcy flag, a deceased flag. There's all of these different data points. This is just a single skip, but you can see all of the columns here. So we have golden address, we have is deceased, we have bankruptcy, foreclosure, liens, judgments. So we've got all of these different data points. And if you skip trace and push that skip trace over to campaign, if any of the prospects in that, so it's not going to be a bulk ad, but it's just going to add to the prospect page whoever should get it. So if somebody has a vacancy true value, they will get that on their prospect page. And so then when you're here on the prospect page and you're talking to somebody, you can pop this out and see they will be auto tagged. And so you'll be able to see what is already tagged, so you can kind of understand the situation that they're in and maybe if they're more willing to sell. So definitely a big benefit there in using our skip trace, because you might not even realize that they're on a divorce list or on an absentee list until you pop that out. And then you're like, okay, I should actually maybe mark this as priority because they're probably under some distress and more likely to sell. We can also use the tags here in the prospect search to filter to specific prospects who have that tag. And we've done a lot of auto tagging for you on some things when you are even uploading not from skip trace, but uploading direct into a campaign. If they have a different mailing and property address, we'll put that absentee tag on there. We do litigator flags as well, and we do vacancy flags as well, even if you're just uploading direct to a campaign. So there are going to be some things that are auto tagged for you, and you can check those here. You can click vacant, click apply filter, and it will bring up the list of prospects. And maybe you want to export this and then import it into a campaign, or maybe you just want to scroll through each one and see if you've sent a message to each one of them, etc. So use those tags to your advantage. They're there to help you and will help you identify who might be more likely to sell. All right, so we've got a couple minutes left here. What else do I want to ask you? Here's a simple one. How can people set reminders?
Yeah, so you're going to do that within the prospect page. Mm-hmm. So if you go into a campaign, click on a prospect, click the little hamburger icon there. You can scroll down and you'll see the option to add a reminder.
Cool. Yeah. And so we can customize this a little bit, as in we can select the user that we want to receive the reminder. So maybe you have a VA working in your account, but you want to receive a reminder about a pretty serious lead. They can set that to come to your inbox and you'll get an email reminder. That email reminder will have a link back to the prospect page so that you can easily, when you're prompted with that reminder, you can just click on it and send them a message right away, or give them a call, or do whatever you would like. How can a user create a campaign that consists all of one lead stage? So say we have that make offer lead stage, and we want to create a campaign that has all of our make offer prospects in it.
So when you create a campaign, you should have the option. Well, actually, you don't have the option, do you?
No.
So if you go into the prospect search, what you'll want to do is filter by that make offer filter, hit apply, and then you can export the list if there are prospects, and then upload that list to a campaign.
Exactly. And so will those count against the upload limit?
They will not, because they've already been uploaded into the system previously. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So when somebody already exists in your database, if you upload them again completely anew 100 more times, it's only ever going to count against your upload limit that very first initial import into the system. So you guys can do this. You can come to whatever lead stage that you want, or your qualified leads or your priority leads, and generate that list, download it, and upload it to a campaign. Your upload limit will not be affected because they all already exist in the account. And then you've created a campaign that consists all of that lead stage. There is also what Amber was initially going to say, and it was a bit of a trick question. From a specific campaign, when you're creating a follow-up campaign, you do have the option here to select a lead stage. So if we click create follow-up and then select the lead stage from here, this is just going to make it specific to this campaign. So if any of the prospects in this summer probate campaign have that make offer lead stage and I click create follow-up, it will pull those into that new campaign. But my initial question was just all of the prospects that have that lead stage in my entire database across all campaigns. This is the way you'll do it from prospect search, download, and then upload. I will ask another easier one. Can I replace all of my phone numbers?
Yeah, so you can go into your phone number manager. It's not recommended to replace them all for no reason. Obviously, if they have bad health and you've tried everything to get them back up, you can. On the right, you can choose to release, which means you will no longer receive any messages from that number. So if you've used that number recently and someone decides all of a sudden to respond, you will not get that message. So it's highly recommended to deactivate first if you're thinking about getting your numbers released. Purchase new ones, put those ones in the deactivated stage, and then releasing them once you're confident that you're not going to receive any more texts.
Yeah, exactly. That deactivate was built out. We actually didn't have it at first. We just had active and released, but there was no way to kind of allow your numbers to cool off. And so when numbers are in this inactive stage, it means that you can still use that number in the conversations that it's already assigned to, so that if somebody replies, you get the message, you can reply using the same number, but it's not going to be used to start new conversations. So on those initial batches that are going out, if it's an inactive number, it's not going to get used. And so eventually those conversations that that number is assigned to, they're going to trickle away. They're going to get wrapped up. Maybe you pushed it to your CRM and you're managing it elsewhere. And so it's not getting used anymore. And so once that last send and last received date, I'll go on our actual active account. Once these dates are old enough, like these, I would feel comfortable releasing because they're so old. But if they've been recently used, keep them deactivated until it's been a little bit longer and you feel comfortable releasing them. Because once it's released, it's gone. You don't have that number anymore. We actually don't even have that number anymore within Sherpa. It goes back to the carrier, and we no longer have access to that number. And so it will cut off the conversations. So the good thing, though, when it comes to releasing numbers, and kind of why I asked the question of replacing them all, is that there are, if you're on the core plan, 30 phone numbers included. And so if you release all 30 and add 30 new ones, your billing doesn't change. If you go over the 30 and you still pay for deactivated numbers as well, because they're still live in your system, they're just not getting used newly. If you go over the 30, you do pay. It's only $1 per extra number, and truthfully worth it to have as many numbers as possible. So if you're going to pay an extra $20 or $40 a month, if that's okay with you, that can really help in a lot of ways. But you can, if you want to stay under that billing and not pay anything, if you do release them and add all new ones. But just keep in mind, releasing is permanent, and so you could potentially cut off some conversations there. Cool. So that's all the questions. That brings us to the end of our 45 minutes. Great job, Amber. Sorry for quizzing you so hard. But
no, that was good. Learned a lot.
If anybody does need some assistance, they're having trouble managing the system, please reach out to us, because we do have some other things that we like to do for people who are having a hard time. We do something called an account takeover, where one of our texters actually take over your account for the afternoon, do some texting on your behalf, and send you a roundup of everything when done. So we just do like to try to help you guys as much as possible. And if you would like to take advantage of that, just reach out to support@leadsherpa.com. All right, that is everything. I hope you all have an excellent long weekend. If you are using the long weekend, I don't know, not everybody takes Black Friday off, but I hope you all have an excellent holiday in this strange year, and reach out to us if you need anything. Thanks, guys.